Louisiana Poet Laureate, who's going to do a poetry reading for us. And I heard her give a poetry reading, and I was so taken in by it that I contacted her right away to see if we could get her to come here to begin our anniversary. Before we go further with the program, I'm going to have Crystal Hill start our program as we always do, giving thanks. Crystal.
It's bowed. Father God, we want to thank you for allowing us to meet in this dwelling. We give you all the praise and all the glory. Whatever foods have been prepared for the nourishment of our bodies, we pray, God, that is in your grace too. In Jesus' name, amen.
And without further ado, I present Dr. Mona Lisa Saloy, and her background she encompasses in her presentation. So I won't spend a lot of time talking about it. Bring her right on up.
Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. I want to also give thanks to God for all the blessings in my life and the honor and pleasure of being here at the great Southern University in Baton Rouge and to be a guest of the Museum of Art. Thank you. I also, as Poet Laureate, want to encourage you to tell your stories in verse. We need this now more than ever. What we didn't learn coming up in Jim Crow was through his story. It's our turn. And Louisiana has such magnificent cultures. So I'm giving everyone homework. Tell your stories in verse, in art, however you choose, but let's keep creating because we are so wonderfully creative and blessed. And also I want to thank the Louisiana Endowment for the Humanities. And if you haven't seen it, this new issue of 64 parishes in Louisiana. Ruby Bridges is on the cover and many of the humanities awardees. So it's a beautiful, beautiful issue. So I hope you check that out too. See, I'm going to, well, I have to tell you that being here, I lived in Baton Rouge when I was working on my MFA and my PhD at LSU. Love me some Baton Rouge. And so coming back, it helped me to choose the pieces I'm going to share with you today. And this first one, everything here, it's always felt like home. That's who we are, so welcoming. This is called Back on the Block. Where shotguns sag in the middle like a yawn sometimes, a porch tips or sinks into the ground like it swallowed more than rainwater. Walk in the front door, see out the back door. The banquet dips to nothing mid-block, where sun-bleached white oyster shells line the street. This is semi-tropics, where green lizards squeeze through door jams. Combat roaches march armies over dishes, pillows, and you after dark. Spiders leave bump tracks on your face at sunup. Fleas kiss and suck you sick. Grapevines strangle windows and roof gutters. Fire ants invade kitchen walls, sandals, and lingerie. Louisiana's alive, and bees scream till dusk. Then crickets cry till dawn and battle frogs for freedom. Only the swamp swallows and coughs air, sneezes its mist into moonlight. Where courtyards are the romantic meeting place for doves and lovers. Between the louvered windows and French doors, wooden dance floors dip under tiled ceilings with potted begonias hanging between palms and bricks. I sweat, scratch heat bumps and mosquito bites. Brown bugs bring my body to its knees. Decay knows all seasons, from steel blue-gray to bright pea green. I sip mint tea, wipe my forehead with a hand towel, fan myself to sleep. The only strict lines are asphalt, street lights, airport runways. Even the banquet erupts under oak roots. So my morning walk, I was reminded of it. I loved it. The oaks, they just pop out everywhere. Right, this one is dedicated to all of us in our beloved home state, Louisiana. This is called Louisiana Log. And it's dedicated to Bob Kaufman, who was born and raised in the 7th Ward in New Orleans. Land south of the Mason-Dixon of Gulf waters and Mississippi tugboat size. Land of cane, rice, and watermelon, jungle plums, we call them. Po' boys, patios, patois, pecans, pecan pies, pralines, and papier mache masks. God bless you. Place of oak tree swamps, pine and cypress with hanging gray moss, punctuated by peacocks and pirogues. Land of Creoles, Cajuns, Black Indians, Cowans, mudbugs, catfish, and bayou crooners. Region of hot, wet air, heavy with hurricanes, honeysuckle, Irish hash, and haints. Land of black-faced Zulus, Louis Armstrong, river dragons and griots, grits and gree with Luke Garou sunsets. Zone of cockfights, absinthe, tafia, anisette, and gospel groups, congre and gravel sidewalks. Land of deep fried fritters, the boot state, trying to keep its head afloat, the Long Lake state, the polluted Pontchartrain, the Tooth Fairy state, the coon-ass state, the red pepper state, the home of Tabasco sauce. The US precinct of Mardi Gras and street parades with great flambeaux and marching bands, the best in the Southland. Home of pelicans and cranes, roaches a finger long that fly and face you at sunup. Climate of smiling eyes and handshakes and great hugs and southern hot dews when every day's a come on out of the thunder shower day. Longitude of lanyap, yeah, you're right, and starlit nights. Meridian of Kubion, hush puppies, gumbo, and deathless days. Everyday hallelujahs, crawfish bisque, praying in tongues, novenas and graveyard gifts of lilies, silver dimes, and bambulo. Tropic below sea level of Scorpio and St. Joseph salutations. People who parade paint faces and forearms like irises and demons. Domain of bayous, levees, canals, alligator, Bogalusa, and wrought iron fences. Neighborhood of voodoo good luck, yam crops and misbeliefs, and the password is pate and umbrellas dance. Latitude of leprosy and soybeans, clover and jasmine, mildew and dead moss. Vicinity of sidewalk cafes, boulevards, preachers and priests with cathedrals of saints' bones and a chafalaya. Soil of courtyards and river blues, Professor Longhair piano riffs, Zydeco and rosaries on Wednesday nights. The Mahalia Jackson and Fats Domino Belt, where the saints come march where you find your thrill. Terrain of cotton and fireflies, bumblebees and cats, tiger striped to Siamese and alleyways, and garbage heaps of oyster shells and shrimp leavings. There's more cats per square inch here than most states. Department of Big Chief, cafe au lait and beignets, galette and couscous and milk. Sphere of classical and Dixieland jazz, rhythm and blues, bayou blues with Baptist, Catholics, and the Ku Klux Klan with jazz singers and souls crying. State of Chocolate City number 10 with fortune tellers and spiritual healers, wall geckos, muddy water and missionaries. District of Sweat and Shade, the second line, Mississippi moonlit nights, Saturday night suppers in the backyard, the sanctioned speakeasies. Confines of Thibodeau, Chapatulas, the Homa, Tunica, and Louisiana red and wingtips. Native land of jive and jambalaya, the Crescent City, the city care for God and remember, for true. That's my homage to, thank you, to our beloved state. There's no place like it. My dad used to say, there's no place like it, there's no way, yeah. These two poems are about my process and what I try to do. And the first one is a few words on my words. This year, I saw my mother's African eyes in my mirror, my daddy's Creole face over my skin like a glove. I answer to two names, smell of coconuts and gardenia. I feed pages words until they speak the lives I've seen or heard of, promises made and promises broken regularly, like hearts or pecans. I let each line rotate head to toe, savor each phrase like a peach cobbler dessert. The cinnamon taste lasts like a warm smile. So I cut and paste hope between the lines, keep the pictures that Black words pour from my fingertips, stretching like the sun to paint rainbows in empty spaces. And this is the next one, like Langston Hughes did. I am living to heal the hole in my heart, from Middle Passage saltwater burns, to kiss the earth of my mother fatherland, to become one with my ancestors, the Ashanti, Ibu, Hausa, Yoruba, Pygmy, Dogon, Wolof, Fulani, Zulu, Watusi, Mandingo, Numian, so many others, my brothers, my sisters, my mother's great-great-grandmothers, my father's great-great-grandfathers, my ancient homeland, my people with ages and ancient temples in their eyes. Saltwater Africans, return to me, and the salt burning my eyes, a cleansing of heart. One of the strengths of my work is, yes, Louisiana, yes, New Orleans, but it's the family poems, because again, what we learned in his story didn't really tell who we were. And you and I know we loved all those early Black shows on TV. We say, Black people on TV, Black people on TV. But it was so comical and so exaggerated and so stereotypical. And I'll never forget the first time I read Nikki Giovanni, and she said, Black love is Black wealth. And so I've been talking back to her work, and Sonia Sanchez's, and Leroy Jones, who became Amiri Baraka, and Donnell Lee, who became Hakeem Adabuti, and so many others, Patricia Smith, Kalamu Yasalam, so many people. So these are my family, some of my family poems. I hope you recognize some of the family. And this first section is called Shotgun Life. Shotgun Life 1. My chocolate-faced mother dropped me into my Creole daddy's hands at home on the 4-poster I slept on until Hurricane Katrina. It was their first new furniture bought on account at Universal, $1.25 a week for wood posts carved like pineapples, blooming, with a head and footboard that fans out announcing the AMs of squeezing between mother and daddy, the crackle of the funnies, the snorts of his snoring, and her shh, when only the sparrows and blue jays outside sing their morning call, with brother still dead to the world, his arms perched like a runner, while sister yawns a peek at us, for a coast is clear into her only privacy, the first bath of the day in the bear claw tub, long enough to stretch inside a dream or two of rooms with doors instead of the shotgun rooms that run into each other like all of us all day long, until cooler evenings on the front porch, the southerly breezes from the Gulf calming and warming up spring before hurricanes come. Me too. Shotgun Life 2, a sonnet. Do you know what it means to miss New Orleans? Not heat or rain, mosquitoes, flies, but talk. Hey nows between neighbors, mothers, fathers, sidewalk parties, Claiborne, backstreet parades. Do you know why natives who left return, relearn to live Cayenne and raise stories of how they grew under oak trees, willow and pine, how streets give way to brullies floating, red beans rhythms that mourn and praise each day over feathers all plumed with stones and beads? It means crawfish, cowan, mint love, and bee gumbo as new with no regrets, a dance. Shotgun Life 3. We are a people of this place where our footprints speak the Mashuket gossip of those who parade daily before front porches inside galleries. The voices of my family are laughter to my spirit. The voices of my neighbors are my days defined with potato salad across fences or crawfish bisque saved just for me, my name in all their pots. West Nile carrying mosquitoes run most inside evenings, but here we take turns braiding hair between thighs of elder sisters and cousins, or hold jacks contests, or eat fresh boiled crawfish in season, then wash the porch with lye to kill the stains and stench. The Blessed Mother still guards back steps, yards, porches, the families inside their altars for Lent, glowing in the dusk of misty air. Sickle-carrying grass cutters retire into the night. Angel trumpets open in fragrance the evening. Neighborhood dogs, Rottweilers, and would-be Rottweilers lay still, the fullness of a meal sedates until the wee hours when their barks will rattle the night, announcing some late-night passerby or cat on the street. We give thanks for these days of peace and pray for quick resolve, the Corona-19 pandemic. And these are even more personal. This is my Creole Daddy one. This is my dad's blue easy chair, 4 years old and still too new. It blues his eyes when he sits sipping coffee and chicory, more like Mississippi River mud. This is my dad's green shirt that fades his eyes gray sometimes when he calls me by my sister's name now. But I remembered when he wiped my behind and mopped the floors, when mother, tired of walking all over New Orleans to Congress hats for that special Applejack brim he needed to blend with this green shirt he can no longer button by himself. I fold family memories with this green seersucker shirt, thinning finally like daddy's snow white 87-year-old hair. He walked the beaches of Marseille, flew over North Africa, and whipped up Coubillon for GI buddies like Mr. Newstetter and Mr. Jackson whenever they landed. Newstetter called daddy nutshot, he said, since he was a short dude and would end fights quickly with a swift kick, you know where. It never failed. And what was my mother's name again? Mr. Jackson brings my daddy cigarettes Fridays when he visits his brother Tommy, who sits near my daddy's good ear in the day room. Jackson brings me Mentos all the damn time. Must have saved his life or something. You get me? Ain't seen him in 50 years or more in my company. There's no place like New Orleans, no way yet. Cowrains used to crawl out the swamp into my black iron pot. His blue eyes fade under lids drunk with sleep. He draws a long swig of near beer. Old dudes taste just like a bud, daddy affirms. It satisfies his need for a cold one now. You look just like your mother, girl, but you're just too yellow. Any more bread pudding? Daddy's philosophy too. Daddy loves coffee with chicory in his cream and sugar every morning just after 5:30. Says he eats to keep from getting hungry. At 86, he forgets when and what he eats, especially Haagen-Dazs on a stick, can inhale one after another with a smile like sunshine while peeling away the plastic wrap. He sees me watching, says that's what it means. What? I ask. La joie de vivre, he says. The joy of life, I ask. Sure, the New Orleans motto, he says. The reasons for heavenly hips, drumstick thighs, and huggable bellies. Yeah, you're right. Even the French say that, Daddy. No, girl, not like we do. We work like we don't need the money. We love like we never been hurt. We dance like nobody's watching, and we eat like there's no tomorrow. Daddy poem 3, New Orleans then. Mother says I was born at home on the 4-poster I slept on till Katrina. Says she dropped me into daddy's hands on a Friday afternoon. Said I laughed and laughed again. Mother says she didn't even know I was coming until she fell down the back porch steps. A faint spell or a haint visit, a ghost visit, she thought. And Daddy thinking their baby making days long since gone. Well, they were chewing on short grass in those days, Daddy says. So Mother sewed future dreams into our dresses and Haskell Brothers' tropical seersucker suits. Those days, Daddy aimed to stop working for the cigar factory, to stop passing for white just to keep a job, to feed us, to live. He wrapped and shipped the finest tobacco rolls. He said to feed us and live. Said at the cigar factory, he had to listen to all sorts of hateful slurs, his stomach churning all day long, the puke taste rising to his tongue on the streetcar ride home. Some days he walked off his anger, saved the bus fare for us for soft drinks at dinner, the 5 of us on red beans and rice Mondays with Dixiana French bread, Tuesdays with cornbread, Wednesdays with Galate pan-fried shortened bread, and Barks cream soda or root beer, the sweetest days we knew. Daddy poem 4. My daddy was a man. He might have been high yellow, but no one was blacker inside. That came from his uncle Henri, a dark Creole who raised him after his dad left his mom and little sister Mildred. Daddy quit school in the 3rd grade to work, be the man of the house. His first job at the cigar factory, he sorted tobacco, then rolled watching the wrinkled faces happy for $1 a day. The smell, he said, soaked his skin, and all weekend washing left traces. Then Mondays rubbed the cigar smell into his pores again. I can see him now, a short, wiry, white-looking black kid who had to keep his mouth shut so the bosses wouldn't know he was colored. With 3rd grade schooling, said he counted faster than a lot of grown men, had a knack for organizing, a way with customers, never lost a sale. So they put him on deliveries, where he picked up new customers all along River Road, driving around the Pelican State at 15 years old, bringing home beaucoup de l'argent since 8. My daddy, he was a man. Daddy poem 5. My daddy loved 3 families. Ours was the 2nd. He outlived 2 wives, buried them in a flow of tears and beer long as the Mississippi. Mostly, I remember lots of hugs and kisses, snuggling next to Daddy during the nightly news, on TV after dinner daily, or him dancing with my dark chocolate mother at night at the Autocrat Social and Pleasure Club on St. Bernard Avenue. On Fridays in season, we had crawfish by the pound, oyster loaves, or hot sausage sandwiches at Mulet's bar. With draft beer we took home in a stainless steel pot that sealed like a canning jar. Springtime brought kawan, or swamp turtle, and Daddy's expert taking of its head, then gently removing the neck gland, a purple thing of poison if burst. He hung the headless turtle. It's still kicking for 3 days on the wooden fence. Even its head snapped for hours in the grass. Never lost a kawan. Its 21 meat flavors tasting of beef, pork, fish, and then some. The turtle eggs, Mother's favorite, promised youth, health, and sexy eyes, Daddy said. When he shooed aunts and uncles and Mother out of the kitchen, he blended herbs for saute in his special roux before stewing. Big Sunday breakfasts with galette, stovetop, shortening bread, and homemade cocoa omelets whipped just so to let Mother sleep late, then wake us for church. He wouldn't come with us, said, just pray for me, I'll get to glory. Go long, so Daddy. Thank you. So I think you can tell I had the honor of being caregiver for my father for the last decade and a half of his life. And that matured me in so many ways I can't even begin to understand. And his voice is ever present. And those are from, some of those are from the first book. And this one is from the second book, Second Line Home. Creole Daddy Ways. It's kind of an update. Creole Daddy Ways. My Creole daddy's first wife was caramel cute, 5 feet petite, had wavy hair like white folks, a cradle Catholic, church going regularly like waking up to sunshine. She wore his sweetheart warming the home front when she was his sweetheart, warming the home front when his long river road trips kept him away nights, delivering newly rolled tobacco packed like sardines in wooden boxes. Then something about one homecoming, she asleep in the sheets she pressed so perfectly, Daddy said, she broke his heart in half like a walnut split down the middle. My Creole daddy's second wife was my mother. Deep, dark chocolate, tall like me, 5'8", heavy bone, a black beauty, he often said. She a PK, a preacher's kid, the eldest, the rock of her family, born and raised Baptist, Mount Zion style, had no idea why my Creole daddy saw beauty in her face. She could sew, grow roses like her Chapatoulas mom, heal cuts and ailments with herbs from the yard. From Baptist, mother converted to Catholic to marry my Creole daddy, and that was the last time most saw him at church until his end. My chocolate Creole mother was more Catholic than my Creole daddy, he said, and she prayed enough for him. She prayed to the Blessed Mother and practiced healing when folks needed it. Very few spells, only blessings. When she passed, my world crushed like smashed pecans, scattered hope here, broken dreams there. I see her nose daily in my mirror. I kiss with her lips, smile with her eyes. She taught me to crochet when it rained for days, to find the beauty in any space of a home. Though she feared water, I swam for her, brought home medals to assure her the kindness of water and that Negroes could swim. Okay, you swim for me, she said. Now, my Creole daddy's last wife, Dee was tall and milk chocolate, a rockin' Baptist, and the rock of her family, raising 9 kids alone, caring for her ailing father, a good Christian woman. Like my mother, she sang any day. My mother sang Charles Brown, bells will be ringing. Any season, anytime she had a mind to belt it out like a sneeze. But Dee sang, amazing grace, how sweet the sound. All hours of the day, staggering or sober. Dee, though, was common and had little common sense. Stayed drunk daily, and that ain't no big no big lie. Told me I was smart because I earned my way. So I said, my Creole daddy insisted that I stand up for myself or have to lay down for anything or anyone. Skills, he said, a woman had to have some skills her own, just not too many, so she don't need a colored man. Dee's last daughter, Carol Ann, about to graduate Joseph S. Clark High School like me, was killed going to the senior prom by a hit and run on the new Claiborne Avenue interstate. Like me, she wanted college, choices a woman can make for herself. Carol Ann died instantly, and that killed so much in Dee, my Creole daddy's third wife. Some say she drank herself to death. Yes, they say Dee had bourbon with a Coke back for breakfast most days. Still, I know better. Grief got hold of her like the left side of bad luck and never let go. Finally, she has peace. Thank you. This one, Frontliners, is in the first book. It talks about my generation, Frontliners. We came after World War II, the doo-wop kids, the original teenagers who believed in America, those second-class citizens. The last Jim Crow generation, often imitated from Jolson to Elvis. Our beat took the Chitlin circuit to juke joints and nightclubs back of town. We made bandstand and Motown, anointed the world with soul and the Afro, sowed freedom into America's vote and believed there was a place for us in the land of the free. So the youth moved north, bit the bitter freedom of blank faces where everyone's from someplace else, the taste of a modern era. Where's the Black community now? In double Dutch contests, sponsored by McDonald's or under the neon moon at the Grammys. I can count the Black men my age on one hand. There's good brothers, married bloods, died or wish they died in Vietnam brothers, street brothers or die now in prison ones. Warriors left, brothers now on the front lines, hold on to their Blackness and sanity like a last meal. Where's the Black community now? Burrowed warmly in our hearts, rising in a melody or two or a good gospel shout at Sunday service. We live from Atlantic to Pacific, send our love by stamp or phone call, see our traditions on dance floors of clubs where DJs scratch the tenders in Reeboks or Jordache and Guest jackets. Oh yeah, we still speak Black. Ghettoese is now hip enough to get airplay from radio to video, and the times are tighter than a turtle's tail. The government still won't give a crippled crab a crutch. So we smell of sweat and the sobbing of lean years. But we know how to cry and hold each other, no matter how many statistics publish lies about how we don't or can't stay married. We've looked north long enough, saw promises fade with each dusk. We grew inside America like oak trees in Louisiana pine. The eagle still pays up. We pinch the nickels in our pockets till the buffalo squeals and thank God for weekends. We grow lean, dig soul on the commute to work, whisper on sidewalks and celebrate minutes. Our skilled children skip to little ghetto blasters and video players. We escaped America's change like chameleons. We know how to live jusqu'au bon temps roulé, until the good times roll. Thank you. So my name really is Mona Lisa. And there's a bunch of us because we were influenced by the wonderful and outstanding Nat King Cole. But if you don't know the story, he was primarily a jazz pianist. And he, along with his quartet, were, I don't know if it was a quartet or quintet, but they were going to be the first Blacks to be recorded nationally on the radio. Well, the crooner didn't show up. And they said, Nat, you're going to sing this song. He said, man, I'm not a singer. I'm a jazz pianist. And they said, man, we're not turning down this gig. You're going to sing. And of course, the rest was history. Then he was on TV for a decade and a half. So there are a lot of Black Mona Lisas, but this is my story. Nat King Cole babies and Black Mona Lisas. Everybody asks, really? Is Mona Lisa your name? Hey, Da Vinci's daughter, huh? Or they call another name of Nona, huh? Muhammad Ali. Or you call a friend, leave your name, and they say, is some picture calling you? Or they do a double take, say what? See, we are late World War II boom babies, cuddled, love conceived, on backs of pickups, back porches, and starlit rooms to Nat King Cole. The last sister I met named Mona Lisa came from Chicago in beaded braids. She was a waitress at the Oakland Athletic Club. It was Kwanzaa. She said, hey girl, like she knew me. Said, yeah, it was a radio hit. And Nat King Cole sang it on his own TV show. In the 1950s, everybody sang Mona Lisa. Well, Mona Lisa Wilson and I went to Xavier Prep a year. Mona Lisa Carr was a year older with me at Joseph S. Clark, then a trade high school. Real cute, a fine cheerleader. I never knew her, but I hated her myself. Was ashamed by myself too. My daddy bears most claim to calling me. Mother said I was his baby girl, and he thought they weren't still able. Well, cousin Mildred says she told him to do it, said the Mona Lisa was on loan from the Louvre, all in the news. But my daddy says in World War II, the day he saw the Mona Lisa, he saw little French boys catching rats for food in the streets, and he brought them as GI rations, and he thought, if he just had another baby girl. So my sister hated me for so long, and my brothers didn't pay no mind about names except Junior. He would sing the Mona Lisa song to me, like Uncle Toot and Uncle Herbert at a piano, or Uncle Clifford and Mr. Charles. Mona Lisa, Mona Lisa, men have named you. You're so like the lady with the mystic smile. Is it only 'cause you're lonely they have named you? Or is it that Mona Lisa's strangeness in your smile? Do you smile to tempt the lover, Mona Lisa? Or is it your way to hide a broken heart? Many dreams have been brought to your doorstep. They just lie there and they die there. Are you warm? Are you really Mona Lisa? Or just a cold and lonely, lovely work of art? Now, the late 60s cursed European namesakes. I reminded many I was born Black on a Black block in the 7th Ward on the backside of New Orleans. And I always thought Mona Lisa was Nat King Cole's lover like Sweet Lorraine. I recalled Iris, Janice, and Joan. Iris had green eyes, mustard tan skin. She was littler than me, and we always fought for something. Janice had blue eyes, blonde hair, solid blood. Her daddy, Mr. John, was handsome, dark tan with thick Latin brown hair, and she beat me up regularly. Joan was jet black with short black hair. I knew they called her a tack behind her back till I come round, because I knew they called my mother that. But Joan thought I was too yellow. Didn't know why I wanted to be with her, but she was the only one could outswim, outdance, outdraw, out make believe anybody. Well, they all called me a nappy-headed yellow nigger between scratching and pulling hair. Mona Lisa got nappy hair. Mona Lisa got nappy hair. So about the time I stopped frying my hair, stopped slapping lye on it or trying tint, Sun Ra told me I looked like the Oni or a Zulu queen and told me my hair is sculptured to crown my nappiness. And I'll always remember Nat King Cole singing to me, loving me like my uncles. Oh, thank you so much. I'll take a swig. And I also met a Filipino Mona Lisa. Within a decade in age, I met one white Mona Lisa who was in the state penitentiary. Where was I? Indiana. Lots of Mona Lisas. So this poem was just published in that anthology. No, this is from the first book, and it's for my sister, and it tells our story, and then I'll read you the update, which is brand new and was just published in that Chicago Review anthology of Black literature. So this is from the first book. This poem is for you, my sister, for Barbara Ann. Still 8 years my elder, I remember clutching your circular felt skirt, me all snotty-nosed and wanting your rhinestone sweater. I remember wishing to follow you to the zoo or the record shop and being told to skip rope or dream little Black girl dreams of saints, voodoo queens, or guardian angels. But you fed me Brooke Benton, Dinah Washington, and Ella Fitzgerald as appetizers. At 10, I was drunk on Nat King Cole, Coltrane, and Miles Davis, and my spirit would never be measured in years again. One fall, you ran from Jim Crow, left for Seattle, our room full of your rose hip sachets, your old green leather jacket, and the straight skirts I had no hips to fill. My life shaken without you was empty like a finished Barks root beer. I wore loneliness like your hand-me-down skirts. When the record players screeched, I heard your voice, hey girl, between Johnny Mathis melodies. When Sunny gets blue, she breathes a sigh of sadness, like the wind that stirs the trees. Your face faint floods me with your Chapatula smile, thick Black braids, never aging in your high school photo. After mother passed and brother joined the Marines, and daddy drank his memories sour and stale as day-old beer breath, I wanted you to answer my anger, to wipe my tears dry with a sock hop or a backyard barbecue. So I followed your memory northwest over Cascade Mountains and Suquamish tribes. I heard mother's voice. You mind good now, you hear? You mind your sister good now. You, mother of a son, wife to a man who believes love an unidentified emotion, tenderness a foreign conspiracy. Each season of mail a burden like horror, the hell on his shoulders, leaning on you like a sawhorse. Your hands are the color of gentleness and Pacific sand. Your breasts broken with years of curses, cold as frostbite, and our prayers melting each scream like fudge. So sister love, dipped in golden seal, mouthfuls of carrot juice and holy water, broke the pain of those years like a finger snap or a joke. This poem is for you, my sister, with your Chapatula smile, your jet black braids, that round bottom like mother's, and your ankles that swell with the rain. Still 8 years my senior, time peels away. Kiwi fruit memories stay with alfalfa seeds, sprouting friendship and globetrotting. And as we skip across Caribbean beaches or Pacific shores, we swim among warm crowds. Your eyes soothe me like the guardian angel of my childhood dreams. We are masked in love and mother's smile. So this poem is for you, my sister, with your Chapatula smile, your jet black braids, that round bottom like mother's, and your ankles that swell with the rain. Thank you. And this one is short. It's a love poem to both of my parents. And the title is the first line of the poem. My mother's the daughter of a slave, an early generation of free city Black women. New Orleans, 1907, when jazz honked and tonked dives in the Vukari in Uptown. She was jet black and she was happy. Never knew she was cute till a high yellow nigga named Louis came around. Called mother pretty black, almond eyes, streetlight bright. I never knew her grown. She said, live good, baby. She passed in 66, knew everybody for blocks. And they came every night for 2 weeks to pay last respects. Stood single file for 2 blocks on the banquet. From sundown to starlight, they came, they said, because they remembered. Said she always had a wink, a smile, and time to listen or make big fun or help or be. Always said, live good every day. It's all we've got. And they came, they said, because they remembered. Mother was jet black and she was happy. Never knew she was cute till a high yellow nigga named Louis came around. Called mother pretty black, almond eyes, streetlight bright. I never knew her grown. She said, live good, baby. It's all we've got. You okay time-wise? And this one was in the second book, in Second Line Home, and it's simply titled Missing Mother. My neck curves like my mother said it would if I didn't sit up. Stand up straight or you'll bend over like a person older than you are when you're my age. When mother's eyes saw me stoop, my back straightened like a narrow balloon blown ready to make a stick figure for a clown. My mother's eyes had a way of following me like a shadow, always there, just beyond sight. Electric, like she had superpowers to make me smile at her wink. She liked to wink at me, and I melted each time, warmed over with her narrow brown eyes, the color of raw almonds. Somewhere in the 2 weeks past 16 years old, she left me, shriveled up like a blue prune and left this life without saying goodbye. There was no one at the corner of my eyes, slim and sparrow like hers, gone. Why is God so full of love, yet cruel? Where are my mother's eyes? Do her winks lace heaven? For years, I carried her sayings on my back like an alligator snapping, stinging, or hugging me for dear life. Now her ways and wisdom are tucked neatly in my pocket, in my head. Sometimes I forget her chocolate face smiling at me until I touch that space in my pocket. The rough alligator skin familiar, its arms smaller over time, but its growl and bite claws hold me again like today, dusting her framed face, speaking to her sepia photo damply dinged in Katrina mold and humidity. It's hard to believe I'm older than her last days on earth. She, a married mother as a teen, divorced soon after 20, then married again to my Creole dad, Louis, the second love of her life. The first time my daddy saw mother's beautiful teeth smiling at him, he was in love. Gave her her first taste of chocolate, the color of her cheeks like a frame. He taught her how to say baby, like my big brother John calls me, and Stu Kawan in spring. Years later at the dentist, daddy cried at mother's first painful cavity, her white teeth flashing neon against beautiful ebony skin. And near his last days, the guilt fell still from salty eyes. Me, the baby girl grown now and too long in the habit of slouching over stacks of books, book bags, magazines, microfilm, archives, journals old and new. Me, pregnant with papers to read and write, ideas stinging my head like mosquitoes. So today, from now on, I'm sitting and standing erect, thankful for the dream of days and mother's wisdom packed in my pocket. Now, this one is, let's see. Okay, I think I read that one, so I must have put it in the wrong place. Okay. So you heard the first poem to my sister, so this is the update. It's called For My Sister Too, a praise song for Barbara Ann. Sometimes I call her BAP, B-A-P, Black American Princess. She, the beautiful, beating out Shirley Temple smiles at 5 years old, attending Martinez Black Creole preschool, speaking French, Spanish, skipping first grade. But she recalls the turn. When Daddy returned from World War II, a sergeant, black iron pot cook, poet, hungry to hug his first girl, Sis asked Daddy, "Who are you?" Threw her bread down the gravel street in protest. And Daddy, fresh from seeing French kids eating rodents and begging for food, demanded she pick up the bread, eat it. Well, her Aries horns reared. She stood in her pride. Then Daddy slapped her straight. Don't waste food. Because mother sewed tropical seersucker suits by day, it was Sis who walked me through girlhood, assuring I could keep swimming even when Jim Crow said no. Stuck with me as an audience, she doo-wopped with other 7th Ward Creole girls, danced at home under blue light backyard parties. Sis made Sputniks out of halved oranges and toothpicks with cheese perfectly cubed at the ends to Etta James, Fats Jomino, or Bobby Blue Bland. Slow drags with handsome Black Creole boys of every hue and height under mother's watchful eyes after Daddy strung lights from fences for their fun after dark. In her prom photo, Sis is pretty as a young Dorothy Dandridge or Lena Horne. Daddy, afraid for her beauty, still a heavy hand on her freedom. Summers, we swam in water shows like Esther Williams. She and I always centered in a harp made of the best swimmers at Hardin Park, each year with glued sequins on our swim caps to grand applause from crowds around the city pool. She the beauty, me the athlete and bookophile. Both of us inhale good books, brain food for the senses and spirit. One day she announced she was leaving, marrying a tall drink of hurricane, handsome too. Cut his 1955 Chevy into a sports car called Lizzie, with painted black footprints the size of my 12-year-old fingertips on the side mirror. She, out of Daddy's house for the West Coast, left one jail for another. Once mother died and Daddy drowned his grief in booze, broads, drunken parties with strange men there for the Jack Daniels, peering into my bedroom once Daddy's face fell flat into the Coubillon dinner I left for him. Had to go. Landed on my sister's doorstep with one bag and a new coat I bought with savings from lifeguarding or selling pleat and tuck pillows, hand sewed on mother's Singer sewing machine. Stuck between scared and the next day, I cleaned, cooked their dinners, cared for my nephew, washed and ironed their clothes, being useful and avoiding a future. My sister set me up for interviews with the activist son, Larry Gossett, of her postal coworker friend, Miss Johnny, made me go to college. So I went kicking and screaming, then took to it like a catfish hugging river silt. By grace, I did more. Through 4 degrees, her hubby chided me, Negro, when you gonna get a real job? Well, all along the way, I sewed for big guys, Garfield Hurd, Bigfoot's Bob Lanier, Bob McAdoo, Globetrotters, boy bands, and sis sent me love boxes of beans, peas, stockings, priceless presents. She said, go ahead, you do what I couldn't, study. Once a PhD, brother-in-law tempered by fighting to stay in unions to earn rightful pay for his journeyman sheet metal skills and me working for the Research One, he shook his head. I did all right, he admitted. Well, my sister outlived the love of her life, survives cancer for the 3rd time in over 30 years, has 2 new knees that holler in airport security checks, a grown son, sweet friends, and we jazz fest each year in the Crescent City. These days, I call her Execusis, who fundraises for the Central District Senior Center on a hill overlooking Lake Washington. She chairs their board, escorts her elders to St. Therese Catholic Church for Sunday service, rides ferries up and down Puget Sound with her multicultural book club of ladies, all sisters. Today, when the neighborhood owls call morning to light, before the hum of interstate traffic rises, I have a dark cherry and soy smoothie, put on the decaf with chicory, of course, plan to play something smooth by Gregory Porter, painted on canvases, one of our faves, and give thanks for sister love in my life. Thank you, thank you. And that's the poem, that's one of the poems that was just published in the Chicago Review. It's volume 33. So we've had some storms recently, and what moved me so much, I forget the name of this town, forgive me, but there was an elder sister with the image of their community church behind her in shambles. And as much as most of the town was flattened, she expressed from her heart that without the church, she didn't know if people were going to come back because it was so central to their lives. And so I wrote this in Second Line Home because after the storm, it was our churches that held us together. So this is Sundays in New Orleans or Louisiana worship. We visit mysteries we cannot see. Forgiveness yellow, penance purple, crucifixion red, resurrection white. We learn that change is God's gift. No 2 leaves, no 2 clouds, no 2 stars, no 2 skies, no 2 hands or hurricanes, no 2 faces, no 2 smiles, no 2 birds, no 2 rocks, no 2 days ever alike. Sacred songs fill our chests, full of peace, overflowing with possibility. Hope crowns the muddy Mississippi, cradles the Crescent City, punctuates the steps to nowhere, the spaces between neighborhoods, Katrina-beaten doorways, and more recently, Ida. Families too stubborn to leave sidewalks that echo Creole generations of la joie de vivre, the joy of life. Our city blocks, from the 9th Ward to the 7th Ward to Mid-City, smile, toothless, missing homes now demolished. Families lost to Gonzales, Vacherie, Houston, Black Lanta, and all points out of here. Homes standing, rebuilt, some new, high as young oak trees, bought with fortitude, heart, patience, and more penance paid to faceless government loans. A few government grants spread willy-nilly, avoiding needs. So Sundays, we thank Jesus, we made it over. We made it over, we made it over. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. We made it over, we made it over. I wrote this yesterday, this next poem. I started it a while ago, but I tightened it up. But really, just this last month. It's called A Long Way Home, something for now. A long way home. Last pandemic years took you so far away to hospital views of those ill from COVID-19, the suffering of those who could not breathe without ventilators. And each time we saw the struggling in beds raised or faces tubed, our hearts went with each trial of strangers stuck in their houses, the kids bored or missing their classmates or forgetting their friends' faces, or the news of Africans, Asians, or Europeans, their ill numbers rising daily, weekly, monthly, their lovely cobblestone streets empty of people, like the many bars, eateries, shops empty here in our hometowns. My brothers glad for wives and kids, and my sister, my brothers, we could not visit. She with no FaceTime, and guys with their wives giving those, he did that again, glances and laughing. Then students started to read more and enjoy it, think more, listen more, and we all listened to each other more. After a good or hard while, we missed running here, there, anywhere, but learned. We took a long way, many days, to be together at home. Okay, I'm going to end with these two. This one is called Endnotes. Southerners sip cafe au lait with dali, pan-fried and flat like the raindrops this morning. We smell the rain before it comes to visit, the damp aroma, its calling card. All legs, feet, and hey nows, the sun kissed us olive from New World Louisiana Creole gumbo, like the grillades of whatever's in the kitchen sink, with melliton, parsley, and onion to taste. No one yells because we carry how you doings and s'il vous plaît between the paconets. We save our clothes, make groceries, wash and scrub the porch and the banquet with lye after hucklebuck spills or boil crawfish leavings to clean and erase evil spells. No insults shake us. Naivete warms us. Our hands toughen after sewing machine needles tattoo lives of customs and costumes each Mardi Gras. We outlaugh enemies, close louvers to their curses, retreat to the gallery where lemonade and laughter lives. So I ready my handkerchief, an umbrella for the next second line and catch new tales. And this I'll end with, we've come this far. And for all of us, giving thanks to God and in honor of our history, which is every day, every month, for so many contributions. We've come this far. It isn't hard to see how Africans in America embraced a Western church. God was no stranger. God woke up the day, cried over anger, calmed the nights with starlight, and gave Africans in America serenity as a shield. We suckled pink babies, didn't kill them. We turned cheeks, lowered our heads, but our hearts rose in spirit, volcanoes of culture. I've walked among the hundreds of faces humbled in the presence of peace. I've witnessed the meek, the thousand smiles of grace. Because God called, Negroes answered as Christian soldiers. Blacks took to Jesus like a crawfish to mud. God is no stranger in our homes. We are soldiers at war under divine charge. Prayer, the only down payment. Faith, the daily deposit. Whatever the cost of time, God paid in death to Jim Crow. Then came integration, rights, civil rights, affirmative cells furnished each generation, at least for those about the Lord's business. The constant cost, a listening heart to the greatest voice to echo. So we rap to the Lord regularly, consult on corners at church, and in the quiet of a look. We've come this far by faith. We've come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord, trusting in his holy word. He's never failed me yet. Oh, can't turn around. We've come this far by faith. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for your warm reception. God bless y'all. Thank you.
Dr. Saloy, you
Yes.
were truly a blessing to me.
Oh,
I really, really enjoyed it.
I'm so glad. Thank you.
Thank you.
That means the world to me. Thank you.
Now you know what I meant. Down here. Blessing here.
And Randall, it's been a long time since you heard me read. Thank you. Thank you for.